everybody.
Welcome to the first ever Endocysterz podcast.
We just created this one day.
Sponsored to you by Endocysterz.
Yay!
Which
And
is us.
salon. So this is like our first podcast ever, so we don't know what we're doing.
And that's okay. We'll just figure it out. As things in life, it's all about figuring it out. But for us, we have a purpose bigger than ourselves and something that's driving us to figure it out. So it might look clunky. It might not. You guys might not know anything. I might even edit this out. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, we're just, rolling the dice and seeing where it takes us.
But welcome to the first ever season 1, episode 1. We can come up with a fun name. I definitely want to use rotting uterus in the title.
Absolutely. Rotting uterus.
Rotting
That's
uterus
me.
in the title. But we wanted to take today as an opportunity to talk about the Endocysterz podcast, to talk about each of us independently, why we created this podcast, and what to expect.
Yes, let's get started. Do you want to tell your story first? Do you want me to tell mine?
I guess it doesn't matter. Yours definitely is more juicy.
Mine is, I was thinking about it today. Mine is about a 20-year journey.
20-year journey. Holy crap.
I will be 35 next month. And my problem started when I was 15. Didn't know it was endometriosis because they didn't even know what that was back then. But yeah, that's when my problems all began.
Is it weird to think you've been alive long enough to have a 20-year journey?
No, not at all. It actually just makes me feel so old. But it also just shows how much time has gone by. And throughout this journey, all the shit that I've overcome from it. Because it's insane. When we dive deep into it, it's insane.
Well, who Endo has made you become as a person.
Yeah, it's absolutely
like I was talking
crazy.
About when we were teasing this first thing. Like I didn't expect this to be part of my journey, not a story that I wanted to have, but I have it. So we're just playing the hand we've been dealt. But I guess it's a good opportunity to kind of talk about why we're here and why we felt so convicted to make this. And the same is true for Lyza as it is for me. Like I've been dealing with this shit for not as long as she has, probably about like 8 or 9 years of my life, but when I first started researching anything about endometriosis, it wasn't there.
Nope.
And there's still not a lot of information out there. But thankfully, like as time has gone on, more people have started to become vocal. And it's Julianne Hough actually was the celebrity that brought it to light in my mind. Dancing with the Stars. I loved her. And Nicholas Sparks is the one where she's in Georgia. It's like one of my favorite Nicholas Sparks ones. I even own it on DVD because I love it. So Safe Haven.
Yeah, Safe Haven. So,
but it was I
with
love
Josh.
With Josh Duhamel.
He's so hot.
He's really hot. And
Fergie,
his character.
fucked up.
Yeah. but it was Julianne Hough that brought up the word endometriosis and had me like look into that. But we have found lack of support and lack of community for sufferers out there. And even in the groups that I do belong to, there's still lack of information. People do feel lost. A lot of the same questions are coming up over and over again because there's just not enough out there. And in this process of me trying to figure out what to do next, I've realized that the community that I'm looking for, we're going to have to create because it's just not out there.
Oh my God, it's definitely not. I mean, I felt crazy at times because like I was going through it alone and nobody understood what I was going through. And like,
it's just a bad period.
Yeah. Oh, you can handle it. It'll be fine. Take a couple days, take some Midol, put a heating pad on it. No, that doesn't work. None of it works.
So we're aiming to create this for you to become part of our community, to invite you on to share about your struggles, your trials, your triumphs, what you've been able to overcome, who you've become in the process, and educate you on the disease. Because if you're just coming here looking for a resource, we got you. We got your back.
Absolutely.
We're going to welcome you in and we're going to help you learn skills to help mitigate your pain levels and just be around other people that are like-minded. And
even if you don't have endo, we can still help you. PCOS, cramping, everything. Like everything that has to do with the female productive system.
You can just lay your shit on us. Basically, we want you to lay our shit. Like just come in here. So the reason behind this whole thing that we're doing, and this is the first of many, we're very excited to share more about it along the way. But I guess we'll just jump in and talk about ourselves and what brought us here. And I don't know if you want to go first. If you've been thinking about it.
All right. So 15. I was 15 when I had an abortion. And I don't regret it. Story for another time. But I truly believe having that experience also led to my endo, because if you've ever had an abortion, you know what happens, and scar tissue from removing the baby from the uterus and then so forth. So fast forward, after that, I went on birth control because birth control fixes everything. Everything. Disclaimer. And I never got a period.
Wait, we didn't even talk about what endometriosis is.
Oh, fuck.
We should do that. I'm thinking about it. But we should explain what it actually is. Like, yeah, you're coming to this podcast to learn more, but do you want to actually know what it is?
Right.
Okay, you'll learn through our stories, but we should do a little quick fact.
Okay, take it away.
Covering the bases. So endometriosis is when uterine-like tissue grows outside of the uterus. It's not the exact same tissue that's inside. That's a common misconception, but it's a very similar tissue to it. And it can grow on all your surrounding organs. It's not just limited to your uterus. It can also grow on places you wouldn't expect, like your heart, your brain, your lungs.
Your liver.
Your liver. Yeah, I had a good friend
Kidneys.
in high school. Her mom had it growing on her heart, and we didn't find out till years later, but it made sense why she was just angry all the time, because you have scar tissue on your heart.
Yep.
But what it does is it causes a lot of abdominal pain, pelvic pain, pain with sex, inflammation, painful bowel movements. It can cause irregular periods. It's kind of like internally bleeding, basically, all the time. Fertility issues. So anything that has to do with like the reproductive organs, those are compromised, but it can affect other things. Like it can keep you completely fatigued. Like you've had the fatigue and I've had it too. You can't even keep your eyes open some days. You like fall, just like fall down.
Done.
So many other side effects that come with it. Those are the fast facts about it. But if you struggle with painful periods, lots of pelvic pain, pain during sex, that's more than the normal amount, which there really shouldn't be a normal amount anyway. But don't let them tell you that it's normal or that, oh, it's just a bad period, because there could be something underlying, and it might not necessarily be endometriosis, but it could be something worth looking into, because you shouldn't have to suffer every single month for your womanhood. So little fast facts for talking about the condition. So we can
birth control will not help you.
Birth control, it can mask symptoms. So it's not addressing the root of the problem, which is so frustrating when you go to these gynecologists for help and they're like, just take a pill. But why am I experiencing these things?
Right. And then they give you the pill, and then it creates all these other problems for you.
Yeah, and you can attest to that. Yeah, you've had issues with your period, and not to villainize medication or doctors or anything on that. You know, we're going to talk about our fantastic doctors and some of the things they've suggested to us along the way, but we're talking about just band-aiding symptoms and not really addressing what's causing the issue. That's where a lot of people get stuck. And people might not even realize that they have an issue, because birth control has masked how they feel until they get off. And all of the things that have been going on behind the scenes, like our friend Deja, who had a 9-pound cyst filled with hair and teeth. Hair and teeth. Google it if you want. Teeth.
Yep.
Hair and teeth.
I've seen that before. Teeth.
But she was suffering from really bad cramps, went on birth control. Cramps went away because it masked the symptoms. Got off birth control. Cramps started getting bad. Sent herself to the ER. They looked and did immediate emergency surgery because she had a 9-pound cyst in her body and a twisted ovary, and had to remove her ovary. Had she had not been off the birth control, she wouldn't have known it was happening, still happening, but wouldn't have known it. And then there could be other issues caused by not knowing that.
Absolutely.
So not villainizing any of your medications. We'll dive into it as the season gets deeper to birth control. We can get some more education, but that's just one of the things that they throw to band-aid a symptom. I think we'll both have that in common in our stories once we get there.
Lots of different birth control too. I have been on it all.
I know someone who's on 2 different birth controls right now. I didn't even know that was a thing.
That is terrible.
Because she has really bad cramps. Yeah, two. Simultaneously.
Yep. That's terrible.
I don't even know why a medical professional would suggest that. Maybe that's something that I have yet to learn, but in all of my research, I have never heard of that.
Nope, that's just nuts.
It's nuts.
All right, so
there's a little bit of the lesson leading into our own personal stories.
Yep. So fast forward. Yes. Had the abortion, whatever. Fast forward to I was 21. I decided to get off birth control. I had just got engaged. We wanted to have a baby sooner than later. I wanted to be a young mom. We got married, and I never got a period. Nothing. Got off birth control, nothing happened. And this was months and months. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? How am I supposed to have a baby if I don't bleed?
Were you just on the pill, or were you?
Yeah, I was on the 3 weeks on, 1 week off thing, whatever it was at the time. So miraculously, I got pregnant. I don't know how. Don't ask that.
I know how. Sex.
Yeah, well, yeah, sex. But call me like the Virgin Mary minus the Virgin because I never bled. Like, so somehow
Weird.
the egg and the sperm got together and I ovulated right at that perfect time, even though I didn't get a period. But who knew that it was going to lead to so much more during that pregnancy? So for 6 months of my pregnancy was great. And then I ended up with this rash. It's called PUPS. I don't know the actual term and I can't even pronounce it because it makes no sense, but it's
Pups.
like PUPS, PUPPS. And it's like basically they call it the plague of your body because a rash takes over and it covers your whole body from your neck down to your feet. And it happens to 1 in 10 in, pregnant women. No idea why. It's a mystery. But it happened to me. And they told me it wasn't going to go away till I had Hayden. Fast forward like 3 weeks later, I was 22 weeks pregnant and I went into labor. If anybody knows, that's really, really early. You're not supposed to do that. The body, you want to wait. So I went into labor. I was bleeding a ton through my pregnancy. Now, if you remember, like I just said, I didn't bleed at all prior to getting pregnant. But during the pregnancy, I was bleeding every day. It was the most bizarre thing ever. I walked around with my uterus being dilated like 3 or 4 centimeters for 10 weeks. And
that's not normal, right?
No, not normal at all. Trying to keep Hayden in me. So they put me on bed rest, everything. Fast forward, I had her at 35 weeks. So she was premature, which endo can cause premature birth. It also, disclaimer, can cause a lot of other what's the word I'm looking for?
For what?
Like when you're pregnant, like a lot of different complications. Thank you. Different complications, which it did for me as well.
And another disclaimer on this podcast, we're going to discuss things like suicide. We're going to discuss things like abortions. We're going to discuss things like miscarriages and pregnancies and just a lot of triggering topics. So I'll make sure to put something before each episode what we talk about. So if that's something for you, no problem, you can click off. But just disclaimer, we're going to cover it all.
Yep.
We are not going to hold back.
Too.
We are not going to hold back because for the people that are suffering, there is no holding back.
There isn't. So yeah, quick, all of that, had Hayden. Thankfully, she was super healthy. But when they took my placenta out, my uterus ruptured. And what we were saying is how endo grows on the outside of your uterine muscle and everywhere else. Well, I had adenomyosis, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And that's what grows on the inside of your uterus. So it was growing.
It's basically intertwined in the muscle tissue.
So think of it like going all through, like your veins go through your body and all through your muscles. That was the endo. It looked like a snake. It was gross. And basically at that point, it was like, okay, you can't have another kid. You're done. Great, cool. So
how'd that make you feel?
At first, it really bothered me. And like, I was like, well, no, I'm going to try. Like, I don't care what you say. We were going to go through these crazy shots that I had to take if I was going to have another baby because it was going to help prevent prevent the next baby from being delivered prematurely. But it wasn't a guarantee and I could still die. So I was like, okay, now I get to weigh my options. Do I have a baby and possibly not be here for both of my babies? Or do I just forego that and not have any more kids? So we ended up deciding not to have more kids because I wanted to be present for my daughter. But yeah, it was a weird feeling, like being told like, well, you could, but you could also just die. So it's like, oh, well, 50-50 chance. I don't know if I like those odds.
Yeah,
it wasn't good odds at all. So I just decided not to and got the what's the birth control? The ring thingy? The one that looks like a uterus? No, it looks like a uterus. Minerva?
Oh, yeah.
No, that's That's the vaccine.
It's like edited in. Mirena. Jesus.
Mirena.
Jesus.
Yes, it's been
Pull it
so
out.
long. I mean, my daughter's 11. I haven't been on birth control in 10 years. So, yeah. So I had the Minerna. Minerna? No.
Mirena.
Mirena.
Like
I had
Moderna.
the Mirena put in 6 weeks after I had Hayden because I was like, fuck this. I don't want the periods. I can't have kids. Who cares? They put it in. Not even joking, like 2 months later, it went through my uterus.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've heard many scary
Right
stories about those things.
So it was like, okay, gotta take that out. Took it out, and my periods came back. And they came back with vengeance. Like, my insides was pissed off. And I just started bleeding a lot to the point where I'd have to leave work. I would end up in the hospital because I would bleed so much. And even though my body was able to reproduce the blood that I needed, it would make me dizzy and anemic and tired. So I would have to go get fluids just so I could stand up. And I was taking naproxen 500 every single day, which is not good.
It doesn't even do anything.
No, it didn't even help. But it was like, at that point, I was just like, okay, well, I'm told to take this. I'm going to take it. Maybe it'll do something.
That's ibuprofen.
Yeah, that's all it is. Stronger ibuprofen.
I have some black market ones in my bag right now from a friend.
Yeah. Nice.
Don't do anything.
No, none of it works. Nothing Nothing takes away the pain. Well, not nothing. Hold on. So where are we? What did I do? Wait. Oh, so I started bleeding a lot. I have ADHD, guys, so you're gonna have to bear with us.
It's also just a lot of stuff to sift through.
It's a lot. Like, so I was bleeding and bleeding and bleeding, and the gynecologist I was going to at the time told me, well, it's normal. It'll stop. I'm sorry. No, this isn't normal. I've been bleeding for 3 months straight now. So they decided to put me on another birth control that was going to stop all of, like, the periods. It was going to stop the cramping. It was going to stop ovulation so that I wouldn't have to go through any of it. Okay, sure. It was the Depo shot.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I know about this. You got that?
You got that? 2 years? Okay. I was on the Depo for 1 month. 1 month. 1 month because A, the period never stopped. B, it made me crazy and gave me terrible thoughts in my head. And C, it was literally wiping out my white blood code. Wiping it out every time I would get it. Because did you get it once a month? Oh, see, no, mine was once a month. Yeah, I had to go once a month to get it done. And it fucking hurt too.
It hurt?
Hurt. Really?
I know someone in high school who had it and gained quite a bit of weight.
Yeah,
that was really difficult for her.
I don't remember what I gained with it, but it didn't work. So finally, I had gotten sick of that doctor, and I was like, "You're useless." And I'm sorry, some doctors are extremely useless. Like, sorry.
You can always get a second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion, if you don't feel vindicated in what your doctor says.
Absolutely, and I definitely didn't. My doctors were just like, it's fine, it's normal, it's this, it's that. No. Finally found my doctor, and she finally listened to me, and, you get to the point where you really think you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, people are telling you nothing's wrong with you, but something's wrong. I was walking around literally feeling the pressure that my uterus was going to just plop right out, like just fall on the floor. Like,
you weren't wrong.
No, like, if you've ever been pregnant and you get that pressure when the baby is about to come, that's what it felt like every day after having Hayden. So there was no baby, but the pressure was all there. And my fucking husband's a saint. Poor thing went 8 months without any sexual intercourse because I couldn't even. One, I was bleeding. Two, the pain was just, it was like somebody took knives and just kept on stabbing me. And it just was like, well, this isn't fun. Like, I don't want to do this. And my doctor had finally put on the table a hysterectomy. And she knew I had endometriosis, but they can't confirm it unless they do the surgeries. And there's no way to fully confirm unless you remove your uterus. And so we had to fight because insurance company didn't want to cover that because I was 26 at the time, or 27, I think. I think it was 2017 or 18. I can't remember. But they didn't want to cover it because they said I was too young. What if I wanted more kids, even though I couldn't have more kids? And we proved that there was no way. But they still wanted me to go through X, Y, and Z to do this, which is so stupid because it's my fucking body and I should be able to decide if I don't want it anymore.
And you're stabbing pain.
Yeah,
your
I'm
uterus
bleeding.
Is falling
My
out.
uterus
you
is
could die
falling.
if you get pregnant.
TMI, but I started to bleed brown because the muscle was rotting from the inside out. Like, it was disgusting. I've never seen anything like that. It looked like tar. Like,
yeah, those
tar.
pictures, it looks like black sticky tar.
It was so gross. Like, so
like if someone
gross.
has lung cancer and you've seen like what the inside of their lungs look like, sticky black.
That was my uterus. It literally, like, it detached from my cervix.
And, like, how does that
I don't even know how it works, but like I don't know, it fell off. I can't even fucking explain it. I don't even know how to explain it because it makes no sense. But it, like, I don't know, like,
just gave up.
Yeah, it just was like, here's your uterus, and it just went meh, and just detached. So finally, we were able to prove like shit is bad. Like, we need to do something now. And I was booked for a hysterectomy, and that morning I went in, I had the hysterectomy. I told her, like, you know, if you have to take my ovaries, take my ovaries. It's fine. I don't care. But if we can keep them, let's keep them. So I woke up and they removed my fallopian tubes, my uterus, and my cervix. And she cried. She was like, I am so sorry that you had to go through this for so long because you weren't wrong. And I want you to know that your feelings are validated now and you were not crazy. And she showed me everything, like, in the jars. I mean, I have the pictures, but like, she showed me my uterus and my cervix and my fallopian tubes. It was black. It was all black. They were like, there was no like pink, like what color your organs are or whatever. There was nothing. It was just black. And it was literally like crumbling. Like, if you take a top of a muffin and the muffin pieces crumble out, that was the muscle in my uterus was just falling apart. And it was horrifying. Like, and that's the other thing that we'll go back to because Meg's about to tell her story soon. But obviously, when you have a hysterectomy, any chances of having a baby yourself gets taken away. And that's a hard pill to swallow. You need to be okay with that because when it's not your choice and your body's failing you, you have to just, depend on yourself and what you feel is going to be best for you and your family, because it's a hard pill to swallow. But not everybody wants kids either. So that's why we should have that choice to be able to do what we want as women. Like, we shouldn't have to fight for this stuff. But anyway, had my hysterectomy, and it'll be 7 years this month on the 9th. I believe it'll be 7 years since I had my hysterectomy. And my level of pain is about 10% when it used to be like 120%. So for me, the hysterectomy was the best decision I could ever make. It really helped everything. And it's not to say that endo can't grow back and it can't still cause complications, because it does. I still have many, many, many complications from all the surgeries, and I still have scar tissue on my liver and my kidneys, but it's bearable and it's doable. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And I'm not on birth control. I don't take any meds. I smoke a lot of weed, but that's just because A, I like it, and B, it does help now a lot more than it used to. And I used to use the medical weed that didn't have the THC in it just for the sole purpose of the pain, and it would trigger the pain and it would help, but
Not enough.
No, not enough. But getting a hysterectomy, it helps a lot. Like a lot. It was life-changing for me.
That's good to hear you say that.
Yeah, I went through this alone. So like no one understood it. And to make that decision by yourself, I mean, I obviously had my husband that supported me no matter what, but even him, he had no idea what I was going through, no idea what I was feeling, no idea how much it was so hard to wake up every single day and plaster a smile on your face and just be like, yep, I'm fine. I know I look it, but I'm dying on the inside. But that's why I'm so happy to be here for her, because I don't want her to go through what I went through.
Oh, that's just like, I can't, you guys, I'll have to edit it and put like the pictures and stuff, but I can't get over looking at that. That's a body part, and it just gave up and rotted and was like, see you later.
Right?
Like, that's not normal.
No.
And like all the years of just like, oh, take birth control, it's just your period, it's normal. Yep.
And that's like,
there's actually like research done on it too.
Right? And that's
Like
not even
back
like
then.
half of it. Like that's just like a tidbit of the story, because there's so much that's flooding through my brain right now.
And the day to day.
Yeah, like, and we'll talk about all of that, but like it's just so hard, and like the years of it's been so long, so it just like you're like, all right, what happened then? Like even my mindset, like my mind was a fucking blur back then. I don't remember half the shit I was going through.
Or even like you'll have your good days and you forget what the bad days
Yeah,
are like, and then you have a bad day. You're like,
you're
oh
like,
yeah, you're
it's
almost
terrible.
waiting for the other shoe to drop if you're having a good day. You're like,
Yep, this
I'm
is not
used to
normal. Like
being
what?
insane. Yep.
Yeah. But the pain is so much better now. And I don't get a period, so that's even better. And I'm going to be 35, so in 5 years I will remove my ovaries just because it's safer for me, but just not having a period anymore. It's the best part about the whole thing.
That's
it
very
really
nice.
is. It really, for me,
You
it
get
was
something in return.
Yeah, for me, like the pain was terrible, but the period was worse because my body just kept on bleeding, and then it began to reject tampons because it's like, well, you've had this shoved up here for X amount of days, for X amount of hours. We don't want that anymore. Like it's coming out. Like it was literally pushing the tampon out. Fucking weird, man.
Oh, we'll have to talk about this on another episode.
That was nuts.
But I had a tampon stuck inside me for 1.5 years. Yeah.
How did you not get thingy?
TSS.
Yeah.
Right. We'll have to talk about that on the next episode.
Yes, on the next episode.
Because I don't think that there's a correlation, because I had, dealing with that stuff prior to having this tampon. But that's a wild story to do with our uteruses. But
all right,
I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
Thank you.
I'm happy that you're here to talk about it.
I am too. I'm sorry that you're going through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But not anymore soon.
Yes, more soon. Okay. So similar story. A lot of us shared a lot of the same things when we first are experiencing periods. We're going through pain. So it seems kind of normal. I think I got my period when I was in middle school. I think just like average age. And I remember getting my period sitting on the stairs, and I was like, oh, I just got my period. It was just weird. Like I just knew that it happened. No one told me what it was going to feel like, but I was like, oh, I just got my period. That was fine. I was okay in middle school. It was just more of an inconvenience trying to learn how to actually deal with a period, but totally fine. But growing up in high school, I started to develop really bad cystic acne in the lower half of my face, like so painful to the point like I would turn over in bed and just touching it would cause me to wake up and be in agony. And they were bumpy and they were hard. And I didn't really experience acne like anywhere else in my face. It was just in this area, which is like the hormone area. And it was really bad and really nasty. And I went to the dermatologist, and they actually wanted me to go on Accutane. They had me on a prescription called spironolactone, which is it's like an androgen blocker, because if you have a lot of androgens in your system, it can produce like you can get like body hairs and acne like in the same area that a man would, because those androgens that you possess, whatever. So we had myself on that for a while. One of the things you needed to look out for was like your potassium levels, so I'd have to go and get my potassium levels checked. I was kind of like nervous about being on a medication long term, but it did work and it did clear up my skin. And then I eventually stopped taking it because I'm like, I don't want to be in medication. But then it came back because that's what medications do, not villainizing medications. But in my case, it got rid of it because it stopped something. I stopped taking it. It came back. So they wanted me to go on Accutane. And I remember it was actually the day of me going on Accutane. And Accutane is a really intense medication, and it can cause mental disturbances too. Like it can cause you to go through depression. That's one of the things that they're really concerned about. And then if you get pregnant on it, it can be very, very bad. So you have to test your, again, potassium levels and your pregnancy test every single month so that you can get your new refill. And it was the day that I was going to do all my tests, and I was getting really nervous about it because I'm like, I don't like medications in general. If I can figure out a holistic approach first, I like to do that. But I'm also really nervous about the side effects of this medication, and I'm not on anything else. And so the day that I went there, I actually sat in the office, and it took so effing long. It was like a sign from the universe too. Like I missed going to work because I was waiting for an extra 2 hours in the office. I don't know why doctors' offices do this.
That drives me nuts.
Blood
That's for another topic.
Boil, but we can talk about that with all the appointments we've been to when you're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Mm-hmm. But after a while, I was just like, okay, I have to leave, and I also don't want to be on this medication. Bye.
Yeah.
And so they sent me like the bill for the office visit, and I never paid it because like, fuck you guys. Like, I didn't even get seen by you. I missed a day of pay. Like, hell no. And it was only like $30, but I held out and held out and held out. And I think they sent it to my credit report. And I'm a big like finance girl, like with budgeting and tracking. Oh, I was pissed. And I'm like, I'm still not paying it.
I don't blame you.
So we're good. We got like an 830 credit score, motherfucker. So screw
you
and your stupid bill. I wasn't paying it. But I didn't end up going on Accutane. And I was like, I'm just going to see what I can do with my diet and my lifestyle, try and figure this out. But oh my God, that day pissed me off so bad.
Which we can totally talk about that too. I have a book that we can dive into. It's Eating for Endo.
Oh yeah, that's a great topic.
We got a lot of foods that can cause flare-ups.
Yeah, and you don't even know like that you're inflamed. Like you don't know what you don't know. All of that you know that you don't know it. So hopefully
you just know you don't feel right.
Yeah,
like you're just like, what the fuck?
So that was like the first sign that something was like wrong hormonally. And I actually went on birth control. I went on a pill birth control, and I remember I was like rage angry. This was in high school. It made me so angry. I'm a pretty happy, even keel person. Like I have my moments, as we all do, but in general, like I was rage angry, and I feel bad for my high school boyfriend because he didn't deserve it. I mean,
I don't feel bad for my high school boyfriend at all.
I mean, some of the stuff that happened, maybe not, but the level of anger I would feel sometimes, he did not deserve that level.
I don't feel that at all. I wish I was a raging bitch back then. I should have been.
But I didn't feel right on it. And we tried a couple different kinds. And I remember anger was one of the things. And then the last birth control I ended up taking, it made me break out all along my forehead. And I remember I called my mom at a break. I worked at the mall in retail, and I was like, I'm done with this birth control. I'm getting fat. I'm angry. And now my skin's breaking out. She's like, it's okay. You don't have to take it. But yeah, I was done with it. That was the last time I ever took birth control, was the day I worked at the mall when I was in whatever grade I was in. So didn't struggle with periods at that point, but I had issues with hormones presenting themselves on my face and whatnot. So this is like a couple years ahead. Now I'm in early college, and I'm starting to get like just cramps before my period. Nothing that would concern me because I didn't think that it was a cause to have cramps, because everybody has cramps. But they would get so intense to the point they would take my breath away, and like I would be like hunched over, not able to stand. It's just like, oh my God, like you got punched in the gut, like somebody stabbed you, like dropped to your knees, like very, very, very bad. But I was young and not embarrassed by my period, but didn't want to talk about it. You know, that's not something you, as 21, 22, you want to be searching for answers about your period, talking to your girlfriends about your period. Maybe some people do, but at that point I'm like, that's just cramps. I don't want to deal with it. Just lots of ibuprofen, dry swallowing ibuprofen, not even taking it with like a full glass of water and some food. We're just talking raw dogging it, like whenever I need it. So much ibuprofen past the point of what you should normally be
Which
consuming.
I think gave me an ulcer.
I remember one day I took one and my stomach started burning. I was like, that's not good.
Had a bleeding ulcer like 6 months after my hysterectomy.
You definitely do that. That's why they tell you to drink it with a full glass of water and put food in your stomach, because you're just dissolving the acid lining in your stomach. But I would just be taking them like candy and just going about my day and still feeling in pain even while being on medication and just trying to mask it. But it just became like unmaskable after a certain point. Like my level of mental resilience, I have a lot of it, but it started to wear and wear and wear to the point where I'm like, this is just not okay. I can't go day to day like with my period fucking up my life. But it's not necessarily when I get my period, all the pains go away. It's like all the hormones level out. So great, the time of the month I feel best is when I'm, bleeding. That allows a lot of room for opportunity. But I would feel okay then. it's the lead up to it. So I'm like, is it ovulation? What is it?
Mhm.
10 days, like clockwork, still to this day, 10 days before I get my period is when it starts, and it does not stop until I get it. That's a long time. Out of 30 days in a month, 10 days, a third of the entire month, to be just in excruciating pain, which continued to develop and get worse year over year, because that's what chronic conditions do. They continue to manifest and continue to get worse. And that's why a lot of people will go in for laparoscopic surgeries. I'll get there in a second, but time and time and time again, because things keep coming back. But I was at the point where I'm like, I remember it was December of 2021. We went away to New Hampshire for the weekend. We were coming back. That was the most painful weekend of my entire life. And you don't forget pain like that. There are certain days, I'm sure, that stick out to you in your brain where you're terrified of the level that you're in pain. We were supposed to be away just like enjoying the end of the year, clean energy. It's one of my favorite times of the year. And like, I'm in the hotel room, I'm hunched over, screaming on the top of my lungs. I'm on all fours. Anthony's trying to like push here and get things. I couldn't even button my jeans, which bloat is like a terrible thing with Endo. Luckily, I've been able to overcome that with a lot of dietary changes. But at that time, like, I couldn't button my pants. Like, they're so uncomfortable. I had a TENS unit, which basically like sends electric shocks to your body and your brain to like stop you from feeling pain. I had those on there. I had my heating pad with me. I had my massager with me. Like, this is ridiculous to have to take for a 3-day weekend too. Like, all the different things, like all the pain medications, the CBD rub. And that was just the most painful experience of my life, that when I came home that weekend, I called a doctor's office, a gynecologist near me, to make an appointment to be seen. Because the last doctor's appointment I went to had stopped me for a couple years, because I went into that woman's office. She told me to get on birth control, that I just had bad periods, and I was explaining to her how it was more than that. She's like, okay, fine, we'll do a pelvic ultrasound. Not that we'll see anything, but because I didn't want to take birth control, she prescribed me Prozac when I left the office. She gave me depression medication.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, first of all, you don't even know me as a person. This is the first time I'm meeting you. You don't know what my lifestyle is like. You didn't ask me about like my diet. You didn't ask me about my mental status. You're prescribing me Prozac to a seemingly mentally healthy person. You want to give me an SSRI, something that I don't need. You want to mess with my brain chemistry? My brain chemistry, I'm already fucking pissed off as it is now. Maybe I need some Xanax to calm me down.
Right?
Not some Prozac, but that was really defeating. And that's what stopped me from wanting to follow along with the journey, because I'm like, am I crazy?
Yeah.
Like, is this pain that I'm actually going through, or am I actually fucking crazy?
Like,
Because
am I making it up in my head?
the doctors don't believe me.
No.
And you're a female.
The doctors,
female.
I'm
like,
sorry, but doctors are trash right now.
And
like,
they just want to push the pills.
And like
hashtag
we said,
not all doctors, because
not
there
all
are
doctors.
some great doctors.
And like we said, we're not trying to trash
but
all medicine, but
didn't even really listen to what I had going
you're
on.
giving me,
just wanted to shove
you're
this
just
at me.
giving me a pill just because you're getting a fucking pay cut off of it, and you think it's going to help us.
Yeah, and then
Trash.
I know now you can go online, you can look at your results of whatever. And so I went to look at my results of that ultrasound later on down the road once I figured out you can do that. But I went for the ultrasound, said everything looked fine, and then just never contacted me.
That's my favorite.
That.
Everything looks fine. Everything
Come
looks
to find
fine.
out years later, there were giant fibroids on my uterus that they put in the charts, and nobody discussed that with me. I had no idea that was going on in my body. And maybe if I did, I could have prevented what, the next course of action for me as in this endometriosis journey. But maybe I could have presented something, maybe not. But I would have liked to know that about my body. You take that information and don't tell me because you don't think it's relevant. Everything looks good. Great. So that's why I stopped, my perseverance in my journey. But after that weekend in New Hampshire, I just couldn't anymore. I was afraid of my own body. I was afraid of my own life because I was in so much pain. So we called. I got in to see the doctor, a gynecologist that a friend had recommended to me, said, yeah, this sounds like endometriosis. We'll approve you for laparoscopic surgery. And I was like, thank the Lord, because someone's listening to me. After I had the surgery and I woke up and they brought over the x-rays to me, there was like two polarizing feelings, because on one hand, when they're like, yeah, we found the endo, I'm like, yes, I'm like crazy. Yeah. But then it's like, fuck,
what do I do?
Have it.
Yeah.
I do have
now
it.
What?
Because I expected to have it, but I'm not entirely sure, because with endometriosis, unfortunately, up to this point, you can only officially diagnose it through laparoscopic surgery, where they make small incisions, they put the camera in there, they go and they find the scar tissue and they cut it out. Two things I want you guys to be aware of if you're considering laparoscopic surgery. There's excision or there's ablation surgery. Excision surgery is the gold star. It goes in and it cuts out, it excises the scar tissue and removes it from the body. Ablation is burning the scar tissue off, which if you can make any sort of connection there, if you burn it, what happens when you burn something? What's left over? Scar tissue. And what you're cutting out of your body is scar tissue. So you're scar tissuing scar tissue. And that's why ablation has not been something that doctors recommend at this point. And if your doctor does, have that conversation and maybe seek out a specialist instead. Actually, I do say seek out a specialist because it's just
seek out a specialist.
At this point, endometriosis, you need a specialist for that. But if you're doing ablation, that could cause a lot more harm than help. But when I heard that, I'm like, okay, great. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, now we've got the surgery. This is supposed to help and be like the end all be all. I got my period 2 days later too, because I'm regular, but I was like, really? So I had like the underwear and I'm bleeding and trying to recover with like the scars on my body. I'm like, this is not a great time.
Yeah, I had that surgery when I was 17.
The lap,
The lap, but they didn't know what endo was back then, and they just were like, looks normal. Oh, cool.
Cool. This is black shit just like earning in my body.
Cool. Looks great.
And then my doctor
couldn't
find anything. And then my doctor shows me the x-rays and he's like, yep, here's the scar tissue, here's the scar tissue, and these are your fibroids. And he's showing me my fibroids. And I'm thinking, those don't look good. But I mean, he didn't say anything else other than those are your fibroids. I'm like, okay. So I have my x-rays. I'm very proud of those x-rays. I worked very hard for them. So I love to show like anyone, be like, look at this fibroid, look at this fibroid, this is scar tissue.
Look at, I have this. I'm not fucking mental.
Like a brown scar tissue piece that Dr. Foley told me this was scar tissue too. And I would have had no idea. That. But I had that surgery, got my period right after. So I'm like, this rocks. But it didn't do anything. I was expecting, and I gave it like a good 6 months, like in my brain. I'm like, things are still healing, because even when you have a surgery, even if you look okay, like a week later, internally you're still processing. Your body has to go through a lot with that, but it didn't help. And so like, I'm thinking, okay, like what do I do now? Because this is all I know in the endo world. They tell you to get the lap surgery and remove it. So now what do I do?
And it does work for some. I know people who it did work for.
Yeah, and that's like the caveat with these types of diseases. It's all independent. Like everybody's got something different, and that's why having a specialist to work directly with you is the best course of action, the next step for you. But so that happened. Just living life, trying to process the fact that I didn't really feel much better, but looking for other ways to better my life in that process. I finished up all my certifications for my personal training and my nutrition so I could launch my own online company, like with my training. It's really exciting. I'll plug that later. We can plug ourselves.
Totally.
But following through with that to learn more about how to make my body the most efficient that it could be, how to put on healthy muscle mass, how to clean up the diet that much further, how to, drop body fat and put on muscle, which was something that I was lacking that helped my body in the recovery process. I did what's called a Dutch test, dried urine test, comprehensive hormones. You pee on a bunch of strips. They send it in certain times of the month. They look at your hormones, and then you kind of like look over that with your clinical nutritionist. And based on the results of that, my clinical nutritionist, we got on a supplement regimen. Interestingly enough, my testosterone and estrogen were on the low side, and I thought they'd be really high, especially when you experience like cramps and sore breasts before your period. Like a lot of the things that estrogen dominance like looks like for me.
Yeah, mine's super high.
Mine was really low, so that was surprising, and that's why like getting testing done and stuff is really important before you just throw a bunch of medications.
What about
and
your
pills
cortisol?
Your way.
Was that
my cortisol? My cortisol. Let me finish this thought. But why, like, you don't just take a bunch of stuff that you don't know what it's going to do for you. You could do more harm to your body. So seeking out the proper people to help you with that is for your benefit. It can suck to make the investment sometimes. But think about, you're making the investment in yourself, the one physical thing that you have on this planet. It's worth spending the money on yourself. If you have to choose between Netflix and the doctor's appointment, you got to go to the doctor's appointment. Go to YouTube. Netflix. It's free, and look up what you're trying to look up. Right. On that. You can look us up. You can look up Endocysterz at Endocysterz. Like, comment, and subscribe. But what I also found in that Dutch test was that my cortisol levels were literally off the charts. Literally off them. I could show you the pictures from it.
Same.
So high, and I would drink maybe like 1 cup of tea per day. It's not that I was causing my body to produce this. What we hypothesize is that my body was in such a state of stress because it hurts so much that it's just constantly pumping out cortisol. So they said, no more caffeine. Not like I drink much of it anyway, but no dairy, soy, gluten, artificial sweeteners, caffeine, like anything.
Same.
Just
Even
cut it all out.
Don't kill me. I still
And to
drink
this
coffee, John.
Yeah, to this date, I don't know if any of that has made a difference. I really don't bloat. You know, one of the things that a lot of endosisters deal with is really bad bloating. I have
bloat
in the past, but I don't now. So there's got to be something that did, you know, putting on muscle mass, getting healthier, changing the diet. So luckily, that's a symptom that for me isn't a bad thing anymore. But did that, have a supplement regimen where vitamin C, vitamin D, cortisol manager, a multivitamin, which I'm on, like a prenatal vitamin.
Same. We're on the same one.
Yeah, we're on the same thing. Magnesium
Digestive
at nighttime.
enzyme.
So I'm still going to continue to take those, but it's been over a year. And I think the combination of everything has made a difference, but it just hasn't been enough. And lately, the past year of my life, the pains have been progressing and getting bad again, like very, very bad. The other night on Christmas, I ended up getting very sick. I don't know what the hell it was. This is my first day of like not feeling really sick. But that in conjunction, I was in my luteal phase, which is the painful time for me, getting sick because my immune system's lowered from that. I was in hell. I was saying some really scary things to Anthony, like, just kill me. I want to die. Like, things that aren't normal for me to say, or normal for people to say in general. You shouldn't, as a person, want to just disappear and just die. But like, it hurts so bad. Existing hurts. And that's why I say those good days, you have them like today, because now I have my period. I'm just like, oh, things are okay. But then I have to think back to a couple days ago when I'm asking to be dead. Like, somebody kill me, take me out of this world because I'm sick and now I'm in so much pain. So I ended up seeing a specialist recommended by Lyza. We love Dr. Foley. She was so great.
Amazing.
You know, and when I presented her my x-ray, she's looking at the fibroids.
I wonder if she even remembers me.
Probably.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, you see so many people.
Dr. Foley, we'd love to have you on.
Yes, we do.
We'd love to have you on. But she was just so great in her approach and asking me questions about my life, and ultimately knowing that kids isn't something for me that I ever saw for myself. I love my friends' kids, but being a mother never has spoken to me ever. I'm an only child. And she presented the option of a hysterectomy to me because my fibroids are so bad, and I now have like a hemorrhaging cyst on my left ovary. And those doctors saw the fibroids. They've seen them on 2 different ultrasounds now, and it's taking a specialist to be like, hey, this shouldn't be here. Like, this is probably why you're having pushing against your organs. I'm hemorrhaging out of like one of my ovaries. So we discussed, you know, next options, and it seems like February, which is about February, I think the week of the 19th, I'm going to do it. So like 6-ish weeks from now.
I'm on vacation. I'll take care of her.
Yes, Anthony's on vacation, and I like to plan them. My boyfriend's a school teacher, and he's very supportive, thankfully, so loving and so helpful, and just like on board with anything that we want to do. So he'll be home for that week. But the reason she's suggesting that is all the other things that we've done up to this point, and now my organs are getting pushed on. And I know there's things like a myectomy where you can go in and you can almost cauterize the fibroids, sort of, but that's more risky surgery because you're cutting into the uterus and actually removing the uterus.
It's another Band-Aid.
It's another thing that you're going to have to go. You're going to have to do like another lap surgery, another like fibroid removal.
And it's sad. The only option is a hysterectomy for us. Like, it's absolutely outrageous.
And a hysterectomy, there also is no cure for endometriosis, so a hysterectomy doesn't cure anything. It still creates its own estrogen and scar tissue, but the goal here is to get rid of all those fibroids that are causing the extra push on my organs for the pain, and then to stop the process of like going through a period. Keeping my ovaries, I'll still ovulate and I'll still release the eggs, so I don't have to worry about same thing as you going on other sorts of medications long term, which is not something.
Are they going to be able to keep both your ovaries?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, good. She did the ultrasound and said everything looks great. We can do it laparoscopically and have you home same day.
That's amazing. See, I wasn't home same day. I had to stay in just one night.
But how? Like, I wouldn't even have a scar. How, you pull it the fuck out my vagina? And
that's
just
it.
Like,
yeah,
there it is.
Like, I have like, you won't be able to even see my scars, but I have a scar here, my belly button, and then like right at the top of my pubic bone. They went in, snip, 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 and then they just pulled it right out.
Those are my lap ones, but you can't even see them.
Yeah,
anymore.
There's
like a tiny one in my belly button.
Like, my mom had a C-section, but then she had a hysterectomy when she was older, and so she had a hysterectomy, a full hysterectomy, including her ovaries, in 2008, and I had mine I think it was like either, like I said, 2017 or 18. The difference in surgeries just in that time
I know.
span, like her fucking scar was from hip bone to hip bone.
Mhm.
Like,
it's like, amazing now,
now
medical
they
science.
just take it right out of your vagina.
And what's
like,
more amazing is
it out.
by being so open and vulnerable, I'm coming across all these women that have had hysterectomies, and you're like, holy shit, like, how is this so normal and common? But all of them were like, yeah, it was fine. They literally just
and
took it
for
out.
Me,
and there we go.
now I'm coming across people who have endo and are going through it because nobody, at least I knew back then, had it. Nobody had a hysterectomy at 27 years old. So it was really lonely. Like,
yeah, and I'm 30 years old now, which is still considered young to have a hysterectomy. And yes,
Sylvie,
there's a sadness that comes with it because even though I personally chose to not want children,
it's still
now the
taken away.
choice like it won't exist within my body. I know that surrogacy is an option if it came down to it. Anthony and I have been together 10 plus years. We've had this conversation right from the get-go. I'm always very upfront with anyone that I'm with because that's a big deal. You know, it can make or break a relationship, and you can't judge people for how they feel about their family choice.
Aww.
But I've always been open with honest with him. And he said he's not sure 5 years from now how it would feel, but that he's not going to leave me for that. And that was a big concern of mine. Is like, what if we're at this point and you decide you want this and I can't provide this to you, but there are options. Surrogacy is expensive as hell, but it's an option if you want your biological child.
Absolutely.
So I have to consider quality of life, and it continues to diminish and decline. And I have a lot of personal goals and ambitions and being like the owner of a company and helping people with their health and fitness. Like I have to take into account what's going to be best for my body. I can't suffer through more rounds of whatever the hell like I just keep going through.
And you cannot want to be here.
No,
you can't do that if you're not here.
You can't do that if you're not here. And like Lyza said, there's so many other little instances that will come to mind now that I've shared this, but it's basically the long story short, just how we got here. It's a lot of pain, confusion, and loneliness. And we don't want that for you. So, like,
and we don't want you to not want to be here.
Yeah.
And we don't want you to have those sad thoughts and those really scary thoughts, and we don't want you to harm yourself either.
And you shouldn't be that way because you just have a period, just like, you know, every other woman.
I don't understand why guys want to be women.
We'll
sorry.
get into a whole nother podcast.
I mean, I'm going to say it, but I mean, it's not fucking fun, guys. Like, you have it easy.
On this podcast, we're just going to be ourselves, and we're going to say what's on our heart and our brain, because that's the best way to build community, is to attract those people, and we have nothing.
We're not here to offend anybody.
No, we're
whatsoever
here to do our own thing.
But,
and if you do get offended, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
actually
mind-boggling.
I'm not sorry.
We're not sorry. If you get offended, well, that's a you problem, not an us problem.
Yeah. And one of the things, actually, I think it was Beth that said it to us when we were talking, we were commiserating. I was making a post in a group I belong to on Facebook. It's just the cherry on top. But I made a post about, you know, the things that are coming up in my life in the next couple of months, how I'm feeling. I would love to know if anybody else went through it, just kind of pouring my heart out. And I'm just the one that likes to support everybody else. I don't usually like put my stuff out, but now I'm doing it because I need the support too. But I put it out there. My post got rejected from a support group for endometriosis because I said, hey ladies, and then I put the whole post because the languaging wasn't inclusive enough. And this could be a whole nother subtopic.
Absolutely.
And I don't even think we should go there for the integrity of this podcast.
I don't either, but
I was somebody looking for support and help and love and guidance. And my using ladies in our group for women that have uteruses and endometriosis was denied. What I was feeling was denied and brushed off because, hey, ladies, was not inclusive enough. How about how the fuck I feel about everything that I have to go through?
Women are allowed to be women.
Right?
Not allowed.
Literally,
not allowed
women can't be women.
And then we were talking about it, and then Beth was like, you guys should start a podcast. And we're like, we should, because we can't get the support we need. So we're going to create it for everybody.
Right?
But that was the catalyst. I was so angry that day because I'm like, you just looked past everything that I'm going through. Like, screw me in my endometriosis journey, in my endometriosis group for people with uteruses, because who have uteruses? Women have uteruses, and you're going to deny me for that. And that was the cherry on top to really be like, let's put something
quick
out
science there. Lesson. Nobody who has male parts have a uterus. It's impossible. Scientifically proven. You need to be a female to have one.
And if you're not sure, just check.
Yeah.
Just
look down.
Just check.
Do you have a vagina or a penis? Because I have a vagina.
Whew.
I don't have a
Create a whole other
uterus.
podcast for this.
Right? I don't have a uterus though. Oh,
Yeah.
I do want to touch on that. After having the hysterectomy too, because you might feel this, and I felt so alone in it. So I don't want
Is
you
this
to.
the sadness?
Yeah,
I've heard that from a
I
couple
got
people.
very sad. Not depressed sad, just like my body and my mind knew that the organs were gone, and I could feel it. Like I don't know how to explain it, but like I felt
You're
like
connected. You're in tune. With
yeah,
your
like I
body.
felt like everything that was here wasn't there, and I knew it wasn't there, and my body knew, and it felt like when someone passes, you feel like that ache in your heart. That's what I felt down there. Like I was like, nah. But then the first time having sex was the best.
I was going to ask if it changed that, because I luckily have had no problems when I can have sex. Like I'm like orgasm queen.
Yeah.
But I don't want to lose that.
No,
that's a really great thing that I have.
No, you shouldn't lose it. For me, the pain went away. Yeah. The one thing I will say, ladies, if you've had a hysterectomy, you should know this. Unfortunately, it becomes dry Sally down there.
I did read that.
So I use this stuff. It's called The Goods. It's all natural. You'll love it. I'll send you the link. It's kind of like a coconut oil. It sounds like oregano to me, so maybe there's some oregano in there. But it's a lube and life-changing. You could also use olive oil too. I highly recommend that.
Just straight up
from
the grocery store?
Yep, straight up olive oil will be your best lube. Don't buy any of that KY fucking jelly shit. It's poison.
No, I don't want that.
No, yeah, the stuff is great.
I don't want banana flavored jelly.
No, yuck. Yeah. No, but yes, no, it was different because it's like, okay, well, there's nothing down there to, moist me on up. I hate that word, but moist.
Me up.
There's nothing down there to get me.
I did
make
read that.
Me water, make me sweat. No,
this is our podcast. We want to be us, and we want to attract people like us.
Yeah. So yeah, we don't care.
I've been standing at the edge
of the water. I am a terrible singer. You do not want me to sing. I will perform now. Ask Beth. She's got some videos. Yep. But yeah, this is.
I can't wait for the after hours where we just like smoke a blunt and sit on the couch and get like real deep. Yeah. Like after dark.
Are we doing this?
Yeah.
Are we doing that now?
Right this second?
Well, not right this second, but like
we should
at some point.
Yeah, just get like really into it. Yeah.
We'll just celebrate. So. I mean, how to be a pothead right there.
Really?
Yeah. Pothead psychology, how to be one, and then a woman's guide to cannabis.
That's like the only thing that ever comes close to making your life any different is like smoking weed. And it doesn't always help, but like overall the pharmaceuticals, it's so true. Like CBD rub, THC.
Because it relaxes the mind. And like for a minute you can just kind of breathe. Like,
and it's so sad. Sometimes you just have to numb yourself out.
Yeah,
just to lay there.
Fucking lay.
So if that's you, you're not alone.
That's better though. Numb yourself with weed because you don't want to numb yourself. I've been there. I am a suicide survivor. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, it gets really heavy. You shouldn't have to be in pain all the time.
No,
so
it's not normal.
It's not normal, and that's why you're here, and we're going to help you figure it out. So we just wanted to take today to share a little bit about our stories, talk about what endometriosis is. That would be helpful on the endometriosis podcast. Yeah. And then kind of talk about like vision going forward. We definitely want to get more of you on to share your stories wherever you are. It's great that we're in the digital age. We can just hook you up as long as you have access to some device. Internet. We can get you on there. Our goal, we'd love to have our doctor come on here because now we're seeing the same doctor, do some educational stuff. And if there's anyone that you know that you'd like to hear from, any topics you want to learn about, if you're not feeling confident to reach out directly, anonymously send us a message, on YouTube, on Instagram. Anything, and we're happy to talk about it because we need it just as much as you do.
And we haven't decided our schedule yet, but we're going to try to make these weekly episodes.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to do nighttime, maybe. We'll do daytime.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. And we're just happy you're here.
We're our own bosses, too. So we can do that.
Yeah, that's a blessing and a curse. All these topics that we can talk about,
we definitely... We have so much to talk about.
So
we have like a 24 friggin' episode podcast.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. So much fun. So.
But thank you so much for being with us and being here.
Thank you for kicking it with us. I'm sure we'll feel pretty comfortable, but we'll figure this stuff out, like how to film, how to put it together. And we just wanted to start because, not starting, it takes is the
Yeah.
one reason why people don't get anywhere.
And we just want you to know that we see you and we hear you and we're here for you.
All right, plug yourself. What you got going on? Anything in your life? You got anything?
What do I got going on? I go back to work tomorrow. Yay.
It's a hairdresser.
I am. I love my
Just
job.
sad in the hair.
I love it. It's a lot though, because you take on a lot of people's problems too.
You're like a therapist.
Yeah, I'm a therapist. My
Yeah.
client got me an ornament that says that too. Therapist.
It's so true.
But yeah, you know, I'm ready for the new year. I'm ready to see what the universe has to show me. That's about it. I am going to this year wide open.
It's January 1st when we're recording this, by the way.
On a
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah,
which
on a
is
Monday,
perfect.
we're just going to start.
Yep.
Put it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for myself, love to connect with you guys at Instagram. I'm at the Princess of Protein. Love her. I also own a company called Build the Best You Coaching. It's an online training platform where I work with people from all over, and we help you make the best decisions for your body with nutrition and fitness, and everything you need is right at your fingertips. I call myself your pocket personal trainer. So I love to connect with you if you have questions about health and fitness. It all ties into that too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I'd love to do your hair if you're looking for a hairdresser.
Yeah.
At Lyza King Hair. I own El Salon.
I know you own the salon.
I do. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It's
Oh,
been
that's so
my
cool.
baby for 8 years. Yeah, it was always a dream of mine. And at one point during my endo journey, I was getting really burnt out, and I, was actually hating what I was doing. And it wasn't my clients or the hair, it was where the environment I was in, it just was not good. It was toxic, and it was quit here or open up my own salon. So I said, fuck it, withdrew my savings account, and here we are 8 years later.
You have to just do
Yeah.
it. It's your one life.
Just gonna die for
It's your
it.
one life. It really is.
I still don't know what I'm doing 8 years later, but it's up and running, so it's good.
So it's good.
Yeah,
It works.
Still going. It works.
So, cool.
Mm.
All right, guys. Thanks for kicking with us. We'll edit this, figure it out, put it up
Bear
there.
with us.
And this is it. The first of many.
Yeah. Have a great day.